Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wellspring. My name is Terry Conator, and as you know, we are live here as well as on Zoom. I am part of your Sunday celebration team, and I want to welcome everyone here for December the 20th, 2020 service. Please now join us for our song of joy. Thank you, Mark and Taylor. Now, we will repeat or recite our vision, our mission, and our affirmation statements. First, our vision: to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. And our mission: to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. And our affirmation: I am open and receptive to the flow of all good in every aspect of my life. Every component of my body operates in alignment in divine blueprint. I give and receive harmony and love in all of my relationships. Divine abundance flows in, through, and around me, filling everyone in my life. Now for today's invocation. Please get comfortable in your seat and close your eyes if you like, and just relax. Today, as we approach the winter solstice and the longest night of the year, we know that the cycles of the universe are another indication of the magnificence of spirit. We affirm that same Spirit is working in, through, and around us every day. We know nothing is static, but always growing, and we give thanks for the ever-unfolding and increasing light in our lives as we move forward into this Christmas season and the new year. And now for our reading. The reading today comes from the Spirit of Christmas booklet. And it was written by Reverend D. Ann Weir Morency. As the long night ends and Christmas Day arrives, a powerful message of love is birthed to the world, the awareness that we are all the Christ. The Christmas story is more than an event from the distant past. It is a roadmap for the birth of the divine energy within you right now. How are you called to birth a greater understanding of your Christ nature? How are you called to live as that powerful love? It is so easy sometimes to accept what has always been for what will always be. We fall asleep to life and miss or dismiss the call to transform, grow, and deepen. Each year, Christmas invites us to move from the darkness where we slumber into the light of our true nature. Each year, we are given an opportunity to deepen and realign with our spiritual identity, our Christ self. Ebenezer Scrooge in Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol undergoes just such a powerful rebirth in one miraculous night. He awakens on Christmas morning transformed. His heart, closed for so long, has rediscovered the power of love. Love of life, love of possibility. Love that is generous and expects nothing in return. He is forever changed. His pledge, I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year, is an affirmation for a new way of being. Ebenezer intuitively knows that this pledge to honor Christmas, to be love in action, is a practice that he will be invited to choose again and again. Each Christmas, he and we have an opportunity to renew our pledge to be love, to be compassion. We must be willing. We must make space and choose love so that we too will be forever changed. When we allow ourselves to live a life of love, to express love, to be a place for love, we live as the Christ. We demonstrate what Jesus so powerfully modeled for us all. And in our yes, we discover that as we give, so we receive. Love begets more love, kindness, more kindness, compassion, more compassion, and caring, more caring. Honor the Christ presence in your heart this day and keep choosing love all throughout the year. And now I would like to introduce Taylor and Mark to provide us with some wonderful music. Thank you.
Good morning. Yes, so we are coming on Christmas this week, so we're going to keep on going with some Christmas music, and this one is Mary, Did You Know? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would one day walk on water? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would save our sons and daughters? Did you know that your baby boy has come to make you new? This child that you've delivered will soon deliver you. Mary, did you know that your baby boy would give sight to a blind man? Mary, did you know that your baby boy see, the deaf will hear, and the dead will live again. The lame will leap, the dumb will speak, the praises of the Lamb. Mary, did you know that your baby boy is Lord of all creation? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would one day rule all nations? Did you know that your baby boy is heaven's perfect Lamb? The sleeping child you're holding is the great I am. Mary, did you know?
Thank you both. That was beautiful. That's one of my favorite Christmas songs. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Now, I would like to turn our service over to our much esteemed Dr. Edward Burlbaw. I know you will enjoy his message.
Thank you. I think this is turned on now. Well, I don't know what I can say after this music and the reading that Terry gave. It's all very wonderful. All fits right in with Christmas. And you know that today's message has got to be about Christmas since it's the last Sunday before Christmas. And so what did you expect, right? You remember last week I talked about the 4 spiritual laws, and one of those laws was the law of circulation, or prosperity and abundance and giving. So just to tie it in a little bit, today I will touch on that law again. So naturally, a number of things come to mind at this time of the year. We have the celebration of the birth of Jesus the Christ. It's a season for giving and receiving presents, right? A time for celebration with friends and family. And there's a lot of other celebrations. You don't have to be in the Christian religion or faith to find a celebration. Vicki reminded us this morning in Early Birds that there are actually 14 different religious festivals that occur between mid-November and early January. I say that in many of these others, they all include celebrating and feasting, right? But probably the one thing in my mind that all they have in common is usually associated with lighting of candles, return of the light, if you think of the solstice, and so forth. So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about the birth of Jesus. And we know that what happened was reported in the Gospels, and they were all slightly different recollections of what happened. But I think probably this Sunday in every church in the United States, there's being some discussion about the common symbols associated with Jesus' birth. And that is, we've got the angels, right? We've got some kind of a bright star. We've got the birth of a baby, and we've got eventually the gifts of the Magi. So I just want to talk about some of these symbols from a new thought perspective rather than the strictly Christian perspective. And those of you who go to, for example, Unity, probably we're going to find some similarities here. Those who have been here in previous years, you're going to find some similarities to what we talk about during this Christmas time. But these symbols that we talk about have usually been borrowed from elsewhere. And of course, this being the time of the solstice, there's a lot about that. But there's also the possibility that the Star of Bethlehem was really the conjunction of a couple of planets that happened in 2 BC. And then, of course, because we had all these other pagan celebrations, the early Catholic Church, I guess I might say, kind of co-opted them and tried to incorporate them into our Christian celebration of Christmas to try to get all the pagans to start coming and become Catholics, I guess. And I sort of speak that way in jest, but I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Anyway, no matter what tradition it comes from, something still calls to us during this time of the year. There's something mysterious and mystical about it, and something very profound but yet simple about this time of the year and the celebrations that we've grown up with. It calls us to overcome fears and doubts, to keep watch over our thoughts, shepherds watching over their sheep, right? The symbolism there, and follow the illuminated star of our intuition, again another symbol, to the manger of our heart. So the season calls us to awaken and give birth to a higher ideal of ourselves and of humanity, and it calls us to remember the light within and to share it in our world. And we talk about that a lot. So just briefly, I'll talk about the light or enlightenment. And Ernest Holmes wrote one Christmas Eve many years ago, he calls this the light of Christmas. I bear witness to the light. Out of the darkness of ignorance, man comes at last into the light of knowledge, knowledge of the nature of his own being. We are indeed become as gods, having eaten of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. For we have learned that there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. As we come bearing witness to the light of truth, and so we come bearing witness to the light of the truth that makes us free. And as we've heard it said, it is done to us according to our belief. So first I want to talk about the baby. There's this significance about a baby being born, and we typically think of babies as being very innocent, but also that they have a whole lifetime ahead of them, right? We can't look at a newborn baby without kind of thinking about this near infinite possibilities in front of this child. Now, isn't this the same possibility that's present in you? I know that we all don't see ourselves as little babies, and we've been around a little bit longer, but yet on a very spiritual level, the possibilities are still infinite for the remainder of your time on this earth and beyond, perhaps. So just accept that there are still an infinite number of possibilities available to you. And so let's just know that's true for us. Just hold that. So you are as beautiful and as endowed with possibility as a newborn. And that is the beauty and the possibility that Christmas represents to us in this season. And it doesn't matter, like I said, if you're 20 or 40 or 70 or beyond. And I don't know anybody who's beyond 70 that isn't younger than 70 in their mind. So we've still been birthed with the creative power of spirit. And Christmas reminds us of this birthright that we all share. And so let us just, as I said, open ourselves to these possibilities. And I ask you, and myself as well, what goodness do we want to have birthed through us right now? That's an assignment, right? Take that. It's New Year's is coming up. A lot of times we like to flush out the old and start with the new. So there's an opportunity for you to look at that. What goodness do we want birthed to us right now, or through us right now? So then, of course, the other is, we talked about the birth of a baby, but really, and as the reading that Terry read today talks about the birth of the Christ consciousness. And this is really the metaphysical significance, in my mind, of Christmas. It's, the baby that was born was Jesus. And we like to say Jesus the Christ. Christ was not Jesus' last name, as all of you realize. But the Christmas story is also our story. It is the Christ spirit inherent in us that we celebrate at Christmas time. If the Christ spirit is already within us, what does it mean then when we speak about the birth of the Christ consciousness? So a birth process is thought of as bringing forth whatever it is that's being birthed. We usually think a child bringing forth a new life, a new child. Therefore, the birth of the Christ consciousness is the bringing forth, and I like to touch on what Neil Donald Walsh says, is that we don't learn anything new, we just remember everything that we already knew. And so this bringing forth or remembering of the consciousness that we've always had. So isn't that kind of, well, actually, that's sort of enlightening. That we've always had that Christ consciousness. So the Christ resides within us, waiting to be born. And I think that's rather empowering, because we don't have to wait for someone else to bestow this on us. We don't have, enough of that. We just have to touch deep within ourselves and express it in this physical realm. Okay, so it's... Now, one of Jesus's big points was that greater things than these you too can do, right? And he was serious about that. There's nothing different within him that isn't also within all of us. And as I said last week, we spoke about the law and the four laws that I selected in particular. And Jesus, because he was more consciously connected to his Christ consciousness, was able to speak with an authority that we may not always feel. Jesus had this authority because he knew he was dealing with the impersonal law. As we talk about how the law, you put something in the law always says yes, according to your belief. So he received inspiration from Spirit and directly controlled the law through the power of his conscious word, and this without, calling on any external aid, so to speak, of any kind. Now, you remember the story about Jesus and the apostles were on the sea, probably the Sea of Galilee, and the waves were knocking up and they were rocking around, and Jesus was taking a nap, and the apostles got all scared, and, oh no, we're going to tip over, and whoa, Jesus, you got to save us. And, he commanded, I think it's written, he commanded the waves and the wind to be still. And the wind died down, it became perfectly calm. Now, he didn't beg or plead or ask someone else up there, the guy with the beard in heaven. He didn't ask him or her to calm the seas. He just said, okay, knock it off. We're trying to get some rest here. Maybe. Who knows exactly what his words were. Now, I think that sometimes it seemed like the apostles or those around Jesus kind of wanted to hang around him because he was so powerful, and he worked what seemed to be miracles to them, right? And sometimes we do that too. We put the power outside of ourselves, and we want to hang around with that person or that power because it feels so good. And I'm wondering if maybe once in a while Jesus might have gotten frustrated with his apostles that were just sort of, following along him, waiting for him to do all this stuff. And maybe he just kind of grabbed them, kind of, I don't know if they had lapels then. And he looked him in the eye and he said, "Dude, don't you hear what I've been saying? You too can do this." Now that's the birth of the Christ within each of us. You too can do this. You have the same power. Maybe he didn't use the word dude, I don't know. But anyway, the takeaway here in my mind is that what has been done before can be done again. And what one can do, all of us have the privilege of doing it, providing they know how to use the law, comply with the law, and command the law. So I've got some Ernest Holmes here again. It says, "Christ is born to or within each, as the human gives way to the divine, as strife gives way to peace, as confusion gives way to poise, as weakness gives way to strength, as fear gives way to faith, as doubt gives way to certainty, as misery gives way to happiness, as we give way to the Spirit." The human will finds no place in the divine uncertainty, for God does not will anything to happen. God knows, and the result of God's knowing produces creation. Christ is the image of God, the likeness of the Father, the Son of the universe, the man that Spirit conceives. Christ is not limited to any person, nor does he appear in only one age. He is as eternal as God. He is God's idea of himself, or his own self-knowingness. So in our philosophy, we don't believe in the unique, we don't believe that in Jesus' uniqueness that somehow the Christ consciousness was in him but in nobody else. He wasn't the only one there. We do believe that Jesus made more of God manifest in his day-to-day life. But we also believe that Christ comes alike to each and all of us. And we understand that Christ is not a person but a principle, as we said. And Holmes says, again, kind of repeating what I just said, as the human gives way to the divine in all people, they become the Christ. In the case of Jesus, there was such a surrendering of his will that a greater incarnation of the divine actually took place. So that's kind of a hint to us to consider surrender as well. And the last thing I want to talk about is gifts and giving. And that was one of the, I talked about that. But let's set aside the commercialization of the season and the gifting associated with conspicuous consumption. And like I said, I spoke about the spiritual practice of conscious giving last Sunday as an invitation to deepen our connection with Spirit and know that in its infinite good, that its infinite good is already within us, and to give with an open, joyful, and loving heart. And Ernest Holmes said, there is an infinite law of the Spirit, or law of life, which tends to multiply our gifts, because in so doing, it multiplies its own existence, its own pleasure, its own fruition. And for those of you with eidetic memories, I said that exactly last Sunday. In other words, in giving, we are avenues of divine distribution, and Spirit experiences the fruits of its giving in us. So, a little bit more about this giving that I didn't say last Sunday. The love manifested through our gifts to each other typifies the offer of life and the givingness of spirit to its creations. The hands of the eternal are outstretched through our hands, and the heart of the infinite beats in the human breast. But the giver must give of himself, for the gift without the giver is bare. It's not then in lavish gifts that we find true giving, but in the sweet simplicity of remembrance, in the kindly thought, the tolerant mind, and the gentle act. Love alone can give love. Sympathy alone can sympathize, and only goodness can really do or be good. So I want to talk about something that's ongoing in our community, and you're going to hear a little bit more about it today in our announcements, and my apologies to Terry if I tromp on something that you might have been going to say. But if you recall, we mentioned it last Sunday, and it went out in the weekly announcements, that there's been a Christmas card writing campaign throughout the state, or throughout the city of Las Cruces. And the idea was to write Christmas cards to unknown folks. Well, let's put it this way. They were not specific to any individual, but they were being collected by the sheriff's office. And the sheriff's office, there's a lady there who's going to distribute them throughout the assisted living communities, those who could not have friends and family visiting them over the holidays. And Brenda called and talked to the lady on Friday. And there's about 1,000 residents in homes that are being isolated in Las Cruces. And they were hoping that the community outpouring would be such that maybe they'd get 1,000 cards to hand out in the nursing homes. As of Friday, and this doesn't end until Monday morning, as of Friday, they had over 2,000 cards to be distributed. And I said, well, I guess, or the lady said, well, I guess everybody's going to get 2 cards then. I just bring that up because imagine, well, I can imagine the joy of writing those cards, knowing that you're sending this, you're outpouring from your heart something that will appreciate it by folks who can't see their friends and family at this time. So I think that woman was kind of blown away with the response from the community. And I know several Wellspring members have participated in that, and I just want to say thank you on behalf of Wellspring, but really, you've already, I don't want to minimize this, you've already been thanked. You have received as you were writing those cards, as you were participating. You were outpouring love. It's in that card, and you know that. And it didn't take much effort, and there's a lot of potential to bring enormous joy and comfort to the lives of those residents. And you didn't do it for recognition either. I'm sure of that. So I want to talk about a couple other things that are going on in our community that I think sort of fall into the same category. Some of you have heard of the restaurants called The Game. And that's, many of you know that Marcy Dickerson is the owner of The Game. And throughout this time period, starting early fall, she has been providing meals for homeless, cooked meals for homeless. As a matter of fact, Wellspring actually did, in part of their tithing, they tithed to the fund that she has set up to provide meals. So now we're all fully aware how difficult it has been for restaurants at this time when nobody can go to restaurants, right? It's all takeout. And here is a woman who is giving even when she's probably wondering where the next rent payment is going to come from. And I just want to say that that's another example. And then I just found out that another business person in town, Wanda Bowman, who owns Ashley Furniture, that she donated $10,000 to Marcy's effort. Now here you are, who's shopping for furniture right now? And here's a woman who's probably, again, trying to figure out where the next month's payment for rent is going to come from, and she's donating. She's giving from her heart. So there's a lot of giving, and there's a lot of blessings that are being passed through each and every one of us right now. So I think we can all feel that. And as we extend ourselves and our gifts to others at this time of the year, we are truly blessed. Every one of us. And Wellspring, so it is. So let's take a moment now for our spiritual mind treatment. So we just relax and take a deep breath. And you know, that blessing that we're talking about, that we feel, that comes from the one and the only, the universe plus, the divine, the God, Spirit, whatever name you use for it, that is all there is. That is the source of everything. And it is that intelligence and that presence that is living its life, expressing itself through each of us. It is joyous as we extend joy, as we extend love. We amplify and we magnify the love of that oneness. So as we acknowledge that that is all there is, that is flowing through us, is activating us, is acting through us, we are grateful. And as we stand or sit in the power of this prayer, we know that there are members in our community that are facing challenges, be they physical or mental, financial, whatever those challenges are. We just affirm for them, as we have affirmed for ourselves, that this oneness is acting in their life as well. Perhaps they view something with uncertainty, but we know that the answer has already been being given as they have asked the question. And so if any of you just want to capitalize on this time where this community has generated this tremendous energetic field, just in your mind, send it out to those who you view as needing it. And just acknowledge that the door opens inward, that they just open and they receive the power of this prayer. And we give great thanks that each of us participates in this prayer, that we understand how energy works. We understand how this love is amplified by each of us. And we also know how the law works. And we know that as we place it into the law has to say yes. The law has no choice. So we command the law. We place it in the law with great love and great respect. And we just know that even as we speak, it's already done. And so it is. So now we have some more music. And just for myself, I have to say that I loved your first song, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, so our second song for this morning is going to be another Christmassy song. This is one that never happens in Las Cruces. This is White Christmas, so big dream. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas with every Christmas card I write. May your days, may your days, may your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. I am dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. Oh, 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 oh. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white.
Let's give another hand to Edward and our wonderful musicians. Thank you so very much. Okay, let's see where we are here. I guess it's time for announcements here now. Okay. As you know, we are meeting at the church as well as on Zoom for our services. If you wish to attend in person, please only come if you are well. And remember that we are masking and social distancing. We will continue our Zoom services and our in-person services as well. Please, everyone, stay healthy. Wellspring has joined with the other, as Edward was saying, has joined with the other New Thought churches for our December service project. On behalf of the New Mexico State Aging and Long-Term Services Ombudsman Program, we ask that you write or draw a holiday card to an assisted living facility or nursing home resident. A child's drawing or a brief note will bring a smile to the faces of residents in long-term care facilities who are especially lonely now that no visitors are allowed because of the pandemic. An estimated 1,000 residents currently live in 19 long-term care facilities throughout Doña Ana County. So, They are asking that you send or drop off your cards or drawings to the Doñana Sheriff's Office at 845 North Motel Boulevard by tomorrow at 10 a.m. But you still have time. There's still the rest of the day or early tomorrow morning. So we hope that you will join in this project and have fun. Brenda and I yesterday got together scissors and construction paper and glitter and glue and had a great time making some fun things for this project. And Judy handed me a basket or a bag of cards this morning that she wrote. Thank you, everyone. Know that our prayer team remains ready to serve and support you. We have a Submit a Prayer Request button on our webpage, or you may contact Martha Ward or Geneva Collins with your request personally. That information is also on our website, www.wellspringnow.com. Know that our prayer team meets virtually on Tuesday afternoons at 4:15 to pray with you, so you might consider sitting in your space and quiet and joining in with them at that time. We know that we are one in spirit, and the energy of prayer knows no limits. Wellspring, as you know, has always been a tithing community, and 10% of what we receive goes directly to mostly local charities. This fourth quarter, we tithed $1,000 to La Casa and $200 to the Family and Youth Incorporated. During these difficult times, families are under great stresses, both emotionally and monetarily. So please keep them in your prayers. During this time of virtual services, we thank you for your continuing spirit of giving. We ask that you mail your offerings to Wellspring Church at Post Office Box 1533, Las Cruces, New Mexico, 88004, or you can donate, use the donate button on our website to make your contribution. We give great thanks for the offerings already given and those that we know will be receiving, because we know that giving and receiving are both part of one flow. We bless these gifts, and we know that they are multiplied throughout our community. Early Birds continues to meet on Sunday mornings at 9:30 via Zoom, so join in. The link is in our weekly email and on our website as well. Next week, we have the pleasure of hearing Elena Hoffman-Smith as our speaker. She will be speaking about seeing with the eye of the heart. I know we will enjoy that. We are planning a 4 o'clock Christmas Eve hybrid service. That will be between Wellspring, Unity Church, CSL, and I'm sorry, I don't recall. Inspirational Ministries. Thank you, Edward. This begins, please join us at 3:30 to come visit and meet and greet, and then the service will actually begin at 4 o'clock on Christmas Eve, 12/24. The information will be in an email to you so you can zoom in, and know that we will also be meeting here in person for our part of the service. Mark and Taylor Ray will be providing music for us. And is there anything else I need to say? Okay, let's see here. There are a number of folks that have contributed, that always contribute to our service in making this possible, both personally and on Zoom. And we thank you, and we bless you, and we love you. Lastly, stay around in Zoom to visit with each other, or please join us in the social hall for some coffee and cookies. Now, please join me in reading our benediction, if I can find it here. Oh, it's on the screen. Okay, here we go. Spirit in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature and flow through us into the world. And so it is. Now please stand and join us for our prayer of protection.